Hello. Pardon if you're here. It's okay. I see it now. So first of all, Matthew, I hope you won't mind my tagging you. I don't want to say a new area that I noticed, but when I did, I thought, I wonder. And I have a few, 2 or 3 that really stand out. New favorite YouTubers, and truly, not to boast or whatever, but I suppose I'm one of my own favorites as well. We all should be. But one of them just had some surgery, um, and but the other one, I'm finding myself wanting to talk about, and the radio is not on loud, so I hope you can hear me. And I just had to, I just put lotion on, and I'm surprised I didn't seem to get it on the screen. Um, so wipe off the lenses or the filters within you that are making you have a filter, that are making you not feel good enough as you are. I started watch. I think I told the story about the one lady that lives on the farm and that um, and how I almost didn't really get into her channel. It's only because I decided to turn on my speaker to hear her content because that particular what I was particularly showing didn't have good volume that I was able to. It's been a few days really since I've watched it, but that's because I've been distracted with various things. But one of them has been another YouTuber. I did briefly mention him in one of the other videos, but this one he might well see because again, we got to think of ourselves first. Uh, as much as we can strongly think about others as well and try and be there for others. And that's only normal, and it's only, I can't think of the word to say, but welcome. And yeah, so, as long as you're here for my content, you can be there for whoever else's content you want to be there for. I knew that a few moments ago. But no, I don't mind. Um, anyway, I don't want to kind of in the middle of it when he tunes in. If he tunes in, he didn't. Well, just because he wasn't live doesn't mean it was not necessarily online. I don't know if YouTube shows that like some other platforms. I don't think it does. But basically, although so that one started, and I think I did mention that in the earlier video today. Actually, how it's like I was working on a comment to his one video. Then my eyes darted over to the side. I saw one of his other videos. I was going to click it and then saw that he was live. And really, if you want to know, a bit more specifically my feelings about, the live that I've seen and the way that he kind of delivers them, that's either the previous video or the one before it, the long one. I did a short one, then there's a long one, and it's nearer the end. Didn't say anything bad. Um, I don't see how someone could. If they took more than, sorry, I feel a little bit, my nose is running. If they took more than 5 minutes, maybe let's be generous or whatever and say 10 or 15. And also, maybe depending on catching at the right moment, welcome. I don't see how you could dislike the guy. And I also feel that that's the case for most of us, to be quite honest. And so sometimes we're so quick, though, to presume whether we will or whether we won't, and sometimes things don't articulate, as quickly or as easily as we may want. But although it's a blur, yesterday when I caught this person's live, who may be watching now, actually, make sure I have the chat on. I not only saw his heart and his care and his fun vibe and his, this is just, for this channel, his fun vibe and to use a fancy word, exuberance, I don't know, kind of comes to mind. Um, and I related to him in the viewer, but so maybe it wasn't him because I think he'd stay and say, "Why am I taking this?" And but maybe he heard what I need to hear. Is like, but then I think he would say something. So, anywho, but um, one thing I did want to remember to mention, I was coming back downstairs as I was thinking it, is I think it's an important. It's quite important actually. So I'm going to wait to see if somebody has. One thing I did want to mention too is that this particular person that I'm alluding to, um, although really any of us in the viewer left, I don't know if it's a technical problem or what, but and after the fact is fine too. But how interesting would it be to hear from on your own video one of the people you're kind of a fan of? Like I say, I'm a relatively new fan. I don't want to sound crazy either, um, but we have a lot in common. And I don't know. I mean, maybe here and there, kind of, I've worked it in slightly. Some of the things about me that turns out I have in common or seem to have in common with this person to some level. I don't know if I need to say them again. The point is that we all have things in common. Um, there's another big point I want to remember, and I don't want to forget it. So I do want to say it in a moment here, but just in case the live chat does not show it later or show an option to show later, although I think I selected it to. Well, I want to give it a bit more time to see if he tunes in and if I can say, can I quote him on some stuff? But one thing I do want to say is that, and maybe when I do so, I'll think of some more thoughts, is that this guy, like myself, does something pretty great and powerful. And I've seen quotes about it too. Even if the world has made you hard, you're still, soft and friendly to other people. In other words, despite struggles, despite struggles, sorry, I have a scratch on my throat, or an itch. Um, still being a good person. And different things, can affect your kind of way you come across, I guess. Whether it's uh, caffeine and energy drinks, or alcohol, um, or certain drugs. Actually, I'm not really even with like. I mean, anywho, and it's been, other than the time kind of seemed to have sped up. It's been almost 3 hours. But it was good noise. Anywho, no matter the struggle, I think it's powerful. Or rather, no matter if you struggle. I mean, one thing that came to mind at least a couple times when I saw this guy, it was interesting because speaking of struggles, even though we have similarities, I think some of his struggles, to kind of be a bit vague, but are maybe a bit more so than mine. I'm not saying one's better or worse than the other, although it's not good. It's not fun to struggle, right? But it was like almost like looking at a reflection and saying things to myself that I need to remember to say to myself, and saying things that I think, he and most of us should hear. Covering a lot in just under 10 minutes. And I don't know how much sometimes we pay attention enough to hear it. Um, it was interesting. One thing that I remember reflecting or kind of saying in the live chat to him was three things I do think he would be good at, but that I also am trying to do more myself. Interestingly, and somebody was there for a few seconds. Um, One of them kind of has two sides to it, and I'd be more on one side than the other. One of the topics, and I'm hoping that well, by tomorrow or sooner, I'm hoping that it's kind of confirmed and planned. But the life coaching, photography, fashion, and modeling, um, and musician. And if you have a song request, feel free to put it. But yes, it was almost as if, even though we don't necessarily look alike, it was looking at a reflection of myself, um, and also trying to be helpful because I saw that this particular person, as do many of us, had a lot of wisdom, have a lot of wisdom, whether gained through life or just simply, the Rubik's Cube is ruined by ink. Sorry. Gained through life or simply, quotes that were remembered or quotes that are made up, in the moment. And the people that didn't stay to watch that his live and may have said, you're crazy and report your shout, whatever it is, missed a lot of the greatness and the wisdom. And sure, lots of people could offer that, and you know, and different people like different things. But I do think that we should be more patient with each other. I do feel that, especially online. I would say, like, actually give someone a bit of time, hear them out, share your thoughts. Uh, I'm not necessarily asking or telling, but maybe I am. With this particular person, what I saw could have been because there was alcohol mentioned in the live. What I saw was somebody who has given up and lost some hope in life, but is still pushing through. Um, maybe because could never actually conceive of doing something to oneself. Or there's a little bit of life, loved ones, or whatever. Hi, is Eyes on 14? Interesting channel name. Curious about it. Is that you dancing in your photo? It kind of, or a dancer in your photo? It kind of looks like salsa dancer, or am I wrong? Um, we get two viewers. Welcome. Anyway, yeah, it's. Sorry, I kind of lost my track of thought. Something like that. I've done a little bit of that in my day, way back in the day with the. Um, it's a sport. Dancing, it can be. Yeah, life is a dance. I said that just above, actually. Um, can you? I do gymnastics since I was 4 years old. Okay. I don't know if I should tell Joe now, but gymnastics can be cool. Um, can, can I don't know if you noticed or could help me out with. I kind of, and it's totally fine that you commented and distracted my thought because I like to get the comments. But I kind of veered from something from what I was kind of saying there. Can you kind of help me kind of get back to, oh dear, what I was alluding to? I'm just going to go put on the AC. Um, I'd like to think that, and I mentioned it sometimes on my channel, I'd like to think that I can make a positive impact and be a positive influence to almost anybody, to be honest. I may never have kids of my own, um, but I remember being a kid and personally how much I enjoyed and miss it. And yeah, I'm just trying to bring positivity to whoever I can. But yes, if you can help me either that or I'm going to, or do I want to put the AC on? I'm trying to decide if I need it, but that I think I do. You're welcome. Um, Let me just try and collect my thoughts. But if you can help me with that, that's great. As to what I was saying there, I think it was such. Most of the channels can be so mean to minors. Well, yeah, I don't think that there's a place for meanness. That's for sure. I mean, sometimes giving somebody a taste of their own medicine. I mean, on one side of things, I think, be the better person. On the other side of things, it's kind of like people shouldn't get away being jerks or idiots or whatever. And unfortunately, they do, though, right? Um, I'm just gonna go put the AC on, and I'll be right back. But I'm not sure what you mean. I'm not sure what makes you say that people can be so mean to minors. And also now it says no one's there. I think you just came back. And can I rate you 1 to 10? See, that's where I would feel ever so slightly awkward. Although, I guess I could just put a number. Technically, I suppose, but but I'll tell you this. This may seem a little bit silly. I don't know. Without even seeing your content, I'm gonna say as we get a second viewer, and not because you got a second viewer, that you're a 5, or as the Greeters Guild guy says, you're a this in Scrabble, but that's supposed to. Anywho, that you're a 5. You're already halfway to where you're hoping to get, and that you're still young. So there's hopefully lots of time. That's the thing. So that's something else I did want to talk about. But just to kind of finish my previous thought, though. So yeah, basically, and I still haven't turned on the AC, but whatever. I could see that this individual was somebody who had a lot of good thoughts, wanted to help people, has not had the needed guidance, has felt kind of isolated. Sometimes I've related. Sometimes I still do. Has felt kind of isolated, and thankfully sounds like he has a good grandmother and father, at least, that lives with. And can't have every meal with them, I guess. But is said something very powerful, actually. One he has 2 best friends. One of them he met on some platform as a teenager, 20 now, and 3 years into knowing, for whatever reason, that long. And I mean, I guess I kind of feel mixed about this, but it's kind of cool. Said they happened to come to find out that they lived like just a few minutes away from each other. And then there's this whole phrase about, oh, you can go a long time not talking to someone, and then it feels like it was just the other day, when you pick up again. I don't know what the point is in saying it, but so just to kind of quote this, hopefully he won't mind, try your best to try your best. You're already somebody. Someone great and amazing, as we get now 2 viewers come in, so 3. Anyone can find success in some form. Even if it's usually hard, and 2 of them went. Yeah, I also want to talk about what I feel about kind of the afterlife in a moment. There's a song, I don't know if I want to play it, but it's called Welcome to Wherever You Are. I'm just looking at some side notes I made here. And it's interesting that we have someone who kind of does dance gymnastics because I'm thinking about my she isn't there niece to me. I can't remember because I did happen to put in the comments that it's a dance life, and that I welled up when I was listening to the video I just watched of his a little bit. To go out there and feel it while you can, meaning life. Uh, yeah. Let's see here. I feel like maybe. Why? Just so that I kind of know kind of what got you there. Is that important? That's something. I mean, I understand why you would say it is, but that's something else I sometimes talk about on this channel and feel worthwhile talking about it again. And then I'll maybe talk about, what I believe about the afterlife if you're curious. But although I believe that training is good and in some fields necessary, so when I said this kind of thought to someone once, somebody said, well, I'd kind of want a surgeon to know what they were doing. Yeah. But there are different ways to learn. This guy's video, one of the things he talked about is how, the school system, stay in school, but and I almost would recommend if you are able to, not all of us have the, what's the word? Privilege, for lack of a different one, to do higher education. And also sometimes we get catapulted strongly into something that we're passionate about, and then it just takes off and it stays with us into adulthood, and we find success. Some of us don't. If you have a song request, feel free to put it below. But the importance of just learning through life in general, and how, yes, you may get further if you have a degree. I hope that society as a viewer keeps changing in that way, though, because there are a lot of people with great abilities that they have, some naturally, and that they can gain that sometimes go unnoticed. Because, no offense to anybody, but those that are higher up the ladder get ahead of them and then don't help them up sometimes. Now, I noticed that our viewer did leave. I'm hoping was not just here just to plug their channel or to try and make it awkward. But then, so. So somebody just tuned in. I'm not sure if it's the person that's already been in the comments or somebody else, Matthew or somebody else. Don't be shy. I did want to take a few moments to kind of talk about how, well, I heard two things today. One, this guy had said something about we only have one life, we don't know what's next. I also heard somebody say, oh, when people feel that the publish their NDs. I'm going to put on the AC, though, because there's nobody currently here. And I wanna. I didn't want to sound unsupportive to that person either, but because I'm not, but and yes, it's consent, but still. And I also wasn't meaning to discredit the training. I mean, when I say that does not necessarily mean don't put the time and effort in. Does not necessarily mean that that's nothing to do so. and to always be getting better. But that's kind of just a life thing. You know. I don't know what it was. Something near the end of his video. I don't know what it was specifically at the moment. I can't remember. Not that it wasn't impactful. Obviously, that kind of helped me build up. But I feel inclined to ask our viewers, what do you think of the afterlife? Do you believe in it? So that's something I'm going to talk about often on here. For me, I do. I do. And I can see the connection between the two worlds, for sure. It's still hard sometimes when, you're stuck in between. Earthbound, and some, sort of transition. But loved ones have shown me, God has shown me, essentially. And the beyond in general has shown me. But like good Andrew, don't worry. And that's all that we should be giving to each other. That's all that we need or should want to give to each other is positive light and energy and positivity. Now this one, it has a few comments in the chat, so I almost want to keep it rolling because let's add a few more. I'll try also again. Do you have anything you'd like to ask me, in general, about life and in general, or a song request? I'm just gonna do it. Also, I have another kind of curious question. Is there something you would almost put your life on the line to do? And is there a time when you felt like I don't know if I want to ask this or not, but you obviously would have survived if you're commenting, where you did almost die. I don't know. Though I don't know. I mean, if somebody's going to do stupid things, and I mean, I have one opinion that may not be super popular, but I do know some others feel it, that I would include in that category. I mean, you are taking that risk. And you would rather probably come across as a smart person, but I do understand a thrill, a sense of adventure, and what actually made me ask it is that I've had some health problems here and there lately, and I never really feared death or passing away. Just before I said I never really feared. I've always kind of been ambivalent to it. But when you're faced with your own mortality, now, I'm not going to lie and say that I might be prone to certain types of cancer. A lot of us are, eventually, at different stages of life. But there's one that is especially perhaps common because it's under, it's not, the amount of upkeep that is needed to prevent it, it's hard to keep up with what causes it, if that makes sense. I mean, I should be booking an appointment for something that I've been putting off because, honestly, I haven't had the care to. I have some coverage, but I haven't had the care to. I've been waiting for other things to fall in line first. Um, but we had two people there, and they're like, "Well, we don't care about your own health. Why should we care about you?" Maybe I've had my reasons. Maybe you should find some reasons too. I'm not going to roll too much longer, though. I think I want to do some other stuff shortly and then get on with the evening. But somebody did just tune in, so I'll let you join the chat if you'd like. I'll scroll down in case I'm not seeing something. I'm at the bottom of it. So, yes, if there's a song request to wrap this up with, or if you have, or we could do a bit of a Q&A with the viewer. So. What I should say when I state about the Q&A thing, though, is within reason, I guess. Like I'm pretty open, but not going to necessarily get into everything. Okay. Well, then it was me that mentioned the photo, I guess. But I don't know if she came in here intending to kind of mention. I guess, yeah, even at that young age, starting something that is considered training for it, I would almost look at it as just being put into it, doing it, enjoying it, and obviously you get better at it as you do it. That was kind of interesting. I thought she didn't really say anything to it. When I said you're already at 5, you're already halfway there. It's kind of interesting how that kind of came up. I'm still not sure what the what's genetic that mean to mine is about. And it didn't get a like, even though I was saying some good stuff. Oh well. Maybe feels a little bit awkward. I do gymnastics in my shorts, and they post shorts of doing gymnastics. What's the opposite? Gymnastics. Jim, nice sticks. Just kidding. Season of the Sticks. Anybody know that song? Let me do it. I'm kind of curious about it actually myself. Oh, and I should be watching my because I did suggest that method. Well, I keep kind of and they're both here, so I should put that one there. I do have a song idea, and you're welcome to give one as well. I'm just going to quickly look at the lyrics and see if I feel it as much as I remember feeling it. If that makes sense. It does. I promise it does. But if you have a song request, feel free to put it below. Okay. Season of the Sticks. Well, there's also chords. Okay. It's kind of sad. Kind of has kind of sad lyrics at the beginning, so I don't think I am going to do it. I wouldn't mind doing a song. We have somebody here that may or may not come back. I have the person who I was kind of alluding to who may notice this. Never know. Although I am starting to feel it's like in the mouth and maybe worse because talking. And almost a mild headache. So I'm not going to roll too much longer. So last opportunity to, if you have a curious question, either about me or about life, maybe I'll have a good answer. I want to also try something. because I don't do those quizzes very often, or necessarily have anybody ask me that very often. I definitely feel I'm often trying to figure out life, as many of us are, but some maybe have it more figured out than others. Um, but if I was to be asked, what's a question I have about life? Why does it suck sometimes? When is more success and beauty, or more success and greatness and stuff? I'm trying to think about what I would ask if I had a question about life. In the meantime, maybe your question would inspire my question. But you have to be brave enough to ask it. Somebody's been flashing along the top every few minutes. That's my question. What's up with that? Creepy ever said flash along the bottom and did that. I mean, the ones I did think of were kind of me being silly, but kind of not. I'm not sure. I kind of feel like, not that I'm not a curious person, I very much am. Here's what it is. I kind of feel like I don't, less than I used to years ago, that I feel like I don't have as many questions, or maybe I fear the answers sometimes, or there's just, I don't know, too many. But that's very interesting. Sharama Maru, all in caps. Oh, and I just realized, speaking of the background, and I did an interesting video on this the other day, or at least I think it was, and this was 3 now too. And actually, if you had tuned, I don't know if this is the first time you've ever seen this channel or my videos, is it? If you had tuned in a couple days ago, my usual location was just a little over on the couch, and those may not have been in view. Do I like horses? Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind having horses again. I haven't been on a horse in ages, or had them. Why are horses special to me? And maybe there's some songs about horses. I know there is. My dad worked with them, actually. I realize Jack is. Don't know if I want to show it up. If we get recognized. My dad was a blacksmith. He's not here. Where does that come from? I'm just curious what makes you ask that. And you're typing all in caps. No, he was a blacksmith, and he also, back in the day, in the 80s, drove horse carriages in Ontario. Yeah. If I was... Oh, while watching this? Yeah, I guess you can multitask, eh? So where are you from, Sharoma? Where in the world are you living? I guess where you're living and where you're from are two different questions, but... And your caps key seems stuck on, but I know that you're not shouting. Japan. Okay, well, welcome. I'm from Canada. And that is the other person that owns this channel, although he works a lot, so I'm on it more. Name is that? His name is Mike. Sorry, just thinking of something. Like usual. Do you like horses? What about, well, what do you think of that? What do you think of that? And have you ever been to Canada? There's definitely love between us. Feelings of lover, not really much, but I'm just going to look at these closely for a moment here. This one is really cool. There's some stuff in front of it, so I don't want to move it. But when you move it, the horses look like they're running. It's can you hear that over the AC? Kind of that kind of material. And then those came from Maria. Oh, and this is kind of cool. Where is it? Camera, pick it up. There, yeah. Guess what? I feel like I said a few things. Guess what? You said. Partner life. You all good? Cool. And we have a second viewer. Do you have any pets, Sharoma? You know what? Your name, I don't know if this, I hope this won't sound silly, or maybe it will. Silly would be the word. 2 rabbits. That's interesting. Because Maria was my friend's was Barb. And then, yeah, that's cool. Do you know what type of rabbits they are? Our dog likes to chase rabbits. I know, maybe a little bit disturbing, but we don't let them. We don't let them. Unlike, no. Let me explain that. Unlike when we saw someone who let their dog go into somebody's yard to chase a rabbit. No, I was going to. I don't know if you know the song "My Sharoma," Sharoma. No, that's what I was going to say. My Sharoma. Do, 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 do. I don't know. It just makes me think of the word. I don't even know what it is. I think it's a car or maybe somebody's name. I know when COVID came, I think it was like Mike Arona. Mike Arona. That would be a fun song. My Sharona. That's cool that you know that. I mean, I'm not sure how old you are, and I don't mean to be ageist because I know a lot of old music and young music and middle-aged music. Just kidding. But My Sharona. Who knew? By Pink is also a good song. Which would you like to hear? Okay. Well, have a good, I guess, evening probably there. Sayonara. I use that word sometimes. Sayonara marinara. Yep. Does our other viewer have a song request or a question for me? So he's sitting over there in the doorway, nicely. It's been lovely having you here. It almost looks, because it still says 2, like you're struggling to pull yourself away. I was quite philosophical, or I guess you could call it that, earlier in the video and in my other videos. I don't know if this has been the first one of mine that you've seen. I think you did say you were scrolling the content. Now it says 1. So yeah, feel free to comment on them. It's interesting because, well, it depends if you look at the video tab or the live tab, and it doesn't always show like the latest as the latest. Remember, it had all those ones upcoming, even though they had posted, and all that too, and all that jazz. There seems to be something about this post where it is getting. I mean, and I know this sounds weird, but we've revamped this channel, went away for a while, came back, and since coming back, things have been a bit slow. So, like a guy in a video I was watching said, 500 isn't a lot, but let me rephrase that. It's a lot when you're only getting 10 or 20 or whatever. It's just, and I mean, I'm happy with it. I mean, I I'll take a few more, but I'm happy to get the comments and the views that I get. Well, actually, personally, I know this may sound weird on YouTube, and you have to have views before you have anything else. And also, I've noticed the view count isn't right sometimes. not to, I mean, and I don't think, that's hurt me to say it because maybe it's more than what it says. Because when I do the wrap up, it'll sometimes say this many. And then when I go and look at like my kind of stream feed or whatever, um, for sure, the video I just finished will say, no, you can't unview. You can't unsee this. You can't unhear this. It's too great. Just, but yeah, so it's not always accurate, but I appreciate it. There's been actually a few firsts today. Finally, the algorithms are, and if they say, oh, find your audience and your content, this is the thing. I'm very diverse. I don't really have, for the most part, my audience are people that are kind and loving and curious, as well as interesting. And other than that, pretty diverse. But no, I mean, I know, again, this sounds small to people that are doing really well. And it's not that the quality isn't there, and sometimes quantity, I guess, too. But first comment, and then 2 in 1 live, and also, I mean, I should be celebrating these with you personally, perhaps. Somebody just tuned in. Sharoma, if it's you, and if it's not, maybe you'll be curious to come. 3 people actually just tuned in. If it's not still you, I've got to share something cool though. Has anybody that is watching ever heard of the band Gearling? They're like, yeah, we all hate them. Bye. We all left. Hey, they haven't been a band for like 15 years. Like, come on. But the reason I mention it is because my sibling was in it. And there was 3 people in it. And for a number of years, they did quite well. And they were quite popular in Japan, actually. And I wish Sharoma had still been here as I'm asking this, but she said sayonara. So, but and was even on the cover of the Japanese version of the Rolling Stone. Not a flattering picture, mind you. But how many people can say that about their siblings? Or about anyone that they're, I mean, I suppose there's always some, but, and I mean, I'm not super close with them either, but I mean, still, family, and we don't necessarily have a bad, like we haven't, well, he sometimes said a couple things, but other than that, like not, that just sounded kind of stupid, but weren't really anything directly personal, like nothing directed personally at me. Other than that, it's kind of just the lack of content and contact and the geographic distance. I almost want to play the song that he inspired, but I'd be happy to do a different request instead. I don't know if I should do it. Or one more question for me, or I'm almost more curious actually with the person you're doing now. There's been a few, but right now you're the only one. So it's meant to be. Do you have a question about life? Something you're trying to figure out either in your life or just about life in general? And we have a second person that just tuned in. Question about life, song request. I'm just going to quickly check something. And then, because I'm watching for something kind of important, not that you guys aren't important, you certainly are, and that's what this video is about. And to kind of circle back to that for a moment, but you both left. So, I mean, it's not that I don't, but either one came back or somebody else is here. And I don't want to say that the people that do that are important because, like I often say, it's not necessarily a personal reason. And sometimes they have a good reason. But if they don't, and they're just being too quick to judge or too impatient or stupid, I don't want to say anything bad about them, but I would say I hope they get better in with those qualities, that they improve in those qualities, if that makes sense. Sharoma is it it is actually. That's interesting. My brother and my dad both came up in this. Questions about life, song requests, answers about life, things you've learned. Maybe that's also a good way to put it. And the person left, they're like, I am speechless in the form of questions as well, for whatever reason, and I haven't learned anything. You haven't watched enough of the podcast, then. Mine or others. I'm just noticing the funny outline of how it almost seems like the corners don't line up there. Anyway, we got two of you here, so I'm not going to wrap up because you're both here. Maybe you'll have a worthwhile comment to contribute. And yeah. Here's another interesting random idea in the format of questions, and hopefully people won't mind. The both of them went because they're like, no, I don't have anything meaningful to contribute. Well, that's exactly what you should do. If you don't have anything meaningful to contribute, either think of something or sayonara. But I have a question for the viewers. I don't know what it is yet. I'm going to think it up on the spot. Clearly, like I said earlier, I'm struggling to think of what I want to ask about life, although I know that there are some questions. And maybe I did kind of sort of allude to them earlier, but here in the now, curious question about who we got watching. One of them is always where you're watching from, but the other one, I like the do you have any pets? That's a good one. What is your favorite hobby? I was going to say thing. Like what is your passion? And the person left. They're like, oh no, but I'm going to go do it. I'll figure it out when I get there. No, but either came back or someone else is here. Where do you live? Do you have pets? Do you have a favorite hobby or passion? And maybe also what kind of career do you work? What kind of job do you have? No judgment with any of these answers. I may have feelings, but no judgments. Of course, I'll have feelings. I'm, a living person. I'm living and I'm live streaming. Live streaming. Just kidding. It's like, oh, you're live and you're alive. I do wonder, though, if earlier one of the ones that was showing at the top that ended up commenting, one started commenting pretty quickly in this, may have been one that left and came back and then said, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna engage. They made the right decision, folks. I tried my best not to disappoint, and I try my best to aim to please. And what was that phrase? I hope you won't mind me re-saying it because I think it's so great. Try your best to try your best. Sometimes in life I've wondered, could I be doing more? Could I be doing better? I do think that in some ways the answer is yes. But if I was also to be asked, as we were left, am I trying my best? I would mostly say yes. I mean, I feel like I'm doing, if I could do better, I'd do it. I don't think I'm doing terrible. I know I'm trying most of the time, but if I could do better in certain areas, I would do it. Obviously, there's something that's making it harder, right? Or not get to the level that I want. Earlier today, I was talking about organizing a little bit. And I was talking about how, and this doesn't mean that this won't change and I can't get better at it, how I sometimes feel like my executive functioning and my ADHD and my desire to come on the devices is stronger than. And honestly, it's not the most important thing in life. There's a little bit of messiness, you know, in our environments. I know people have different opinions, but really, at the end of the day, are you having a good life? Are you enjoying life? And it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the clutter. And I work day and that's with that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with that, but that's the most important thing. And that sparks one more question I'd like to ask if somebody tunes in. But so that I don't forget it, I'm also going to put it in the chat. How can you enjoy life more? In asking that, I kind of feel like that's, or at least I feel like it's implying that I want to help. But what do you enjoy most about life? And how do you feel you could enjoy it more? Now, could and actually having what you need to make that particular thing happen could be two different things. Could be. Maybe they are. Maybe they are. And if you need help with that, I'd like to try and help you. Or like, no, life's good, life's grand, and I don't know you. First of all, which makes me think two other things, which I'll say to wrap this up, unless, of course, there's a comment. One, we don't have to, this is YouTube, first of all. That doesn't mean that somebody might not occasionally be familiar. I don't even see people that seem familiar to me sometimes, but not as often as I think. And I am often that way. But you don't have to know the person necessarily to get good input. And I would also say, one other thing, I'll wait though. Hopefully not very long. I want to go turn the AC off and do other things. Not that I can't turn the AC off, but I'll stay on camera. Whoops, what's that? I don't know. How do I get these? I don't know. Until I end the stream. I've got like emojis popped up. Some YouTube specific ones. I thought I knew, but I'm not sure I do. Well, some of them are not really YouTube specific. They just say they are. I would think it'd be a bit more obvious how to kind of collapse that. Oh well. Gives a bit of color and symbology. And I'm all for coming up with kind of creative concepts, I guess it's true. So if I was to wrap this up in a creative way, and the comment I added was nobody's got it all figured out or is free from some sort of worry or struggle, what is something for you in that category, and maybe I can help. Other than that, like I say, Q&A, song requests, I will be wrapping up soon, and because of the random, and you left, but other than that, seeing where I'm scrolled up to, I do kind of remember stuff down sometimes. And no, I'm not even declined there anymore, so she should be able to comment. Let yourself smile in the sunshine. Maybe take a trip to space. reach for the stars and swim to them. You're a star. Even on the rainy days, I and my content are here for you. Be the rainbow in somebody's life. Some other activities, if you struggle to find activities other than being on YouTube and the occasional other thing, or if maybe you should evaluate whether your activities are healthy activities for yourself and others. I'm noticing that there's um, some symbols, images that it's suggesting in the comments that I'll make sure that maybe select some of them just in case people don't make it this far in. I didn't think this was going to be this long, but let's see here. Celebrate. Um, Play some sort of sport. Most of them love ball. I don't know which one to pick though. I don't really know. Q&A, questions for me, answers for me. Just kidding. Well, but maybe about life, about me. Song requests. I'm just looking at some images along the bottom here and using them for some inspiration as well. But I'm obviously pretty tired too, so. I've said it 2 or 3 times. It worked once or twice. I don't want to sound like I'm repeating myself. But yeah, I mean, hey, part of me thinks I should be content, and I am. Got 2 commenters, and while live, there's somebody else who I've kind of tried to make aware of this, and hopefully they will enjoy it. I'm wondering why my tablet's not coming on. I don't think it was drained. I don't think I have the charger down here at the moment. Oh, it looks like it might though. And I was just about to wrap this up, but maybe I'm not meant to yet because somebody just tuned in. So I hate to repeat myself but in case you haven't already been here, because any of that. Okay, so I think I'm going to wrap this up. Although, I guess we can do it now. I'm glad that person waited, asked for clarification, waited for it. Yes, she did leave not long after that. And she did say she liked the song, but yeah, I don't know if I would have covered it anyway, so it's all good. Okay, yeah, this does have to charge. So I'll be plugging that in later. I'll be plugging it in. But for now, I think we're going to plug along to other things. And as soon as I say it, someone tunes in. And I don't want to say that that's not cool and unimportant. So, is there something particularly that you would like? Okay, you left. Okay, then maybe I will say that. Oh, but either I came back or somebody else here. I almost didn't notice. Is there something particular that you'd like to talk about, kind of that you're trying to figure out in your own life, or just have a curiosity about, or a song you'd like to hear? No, you left? Okay, good enough for me. See you later. Take care of one another. And fine, I guess to wrap this up to the theme that it started with, if necessary. I don't know, but find things to enjoy in life. Remember why you feel you matter or should matter. Um, for lack of a different phrase, lean into that and just keep doing your best to try and show it to the world. And hoping that the majority of people and the right people will see it and enjoy it and appreciate it as well. It helps. It really does help. You can do as much as you want. You can feel those things as much as you want yourself. But to actually have, to have others feeling it along with you is a pretty great thing. Thanks. Take care.